These are the stories topping the news. Conversations for Progress in Nevis, an informative and exciting session. Jamaican Finance Minister visits New York. And India urges thousands to move from airport slum. Good afternoon and welcome to ZIZ Midday Newscast for Thursday, October 30th. I'm Carla Berridge. Now the news in detail. The history-making Division parliamentarian, the Honorable Patrice Nisbet, is hailing Wednesday night's federal government-sponsored Conversations for Progress as an informative and exciting session. Mr. Nisbet, the Federal Minister of Foreign Affairs, Homeland Security, Labor, Justice and Legal Affairs, thanked the Prime Minister of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the Right Honorable Dr. Denzil Douglas, Dr. Kelvin Daly, President of the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, and moderator Ms. Ebony Brandon, for an informative and exciting session. Mr. Nisbet, also the first Division Minister of Foreign Affairs and the first Division to address the General Assembly of the United Nations in New York, also thanked the persons in the diaspora for always keeping in tune with the happenings in Queen City. Women in the manufacturing sector are being commended not only for their role in the success of the manufacturing sector, but for voicing their concerns about the need for higher wages and long-term gratuity. In the wake of the launch of the minimum wage and long-term gratuity scheme, Minister of Gender Affairs, the Honorable Marcella Liburd, commended the women who make up the majority of the workers at the industrial site.
And I want to commend the women of this country. Commend the women. This industrial estate, Mr. Edmund, is 98% female. So women, so when you hear about all the good work out of the manufacturing sector and how well we're doing in leading in manufacturing, big up the women. Put your hands together for them. They fought and struggled and argued and discussed all along that something was lacking. We are not saying we have found the panacea, but certainly the long service gratuity is something that we feel very proud about.
The national minimum wage will increase from $320 to $360 per 40-hour week with effect from November 1st, 2000.
In a vision to address the United Nations General Assembly since the Twin Island Federation became an independent nation in 1983. The 69th session opened on 16th September 2014. Local students attending university in Taiwan have been joining the celebrations of the 31st anniversary of independence. Our correspondent Roland Henry has the report.
20 Kittitians and Divisions joined the Independence Luncheon organized by the St. Kitts Nevis Embassy in Taiwan. Ambassador Huggins gave a toast to continued progress and success.
Toast to the continued progress of our federation, to your success, and to all of your families who I am sure will see you at this time. To our federation and to all of you. Cheers. Cheers.
Students showed appreciation for the opportunity to fellowship and celebrate with their countrymen.
Happy 31st Independence, St. Kitts and Nevis. We're new students here, but it's always good to share part of our culture here with our fellows.
Independence of St. Kitts and Nevis, 31 years of progress. And I'm so happy that I am able to be far away from home, but still celebrate with you guys. Happy Independence.
The celebration was held at the Regent Hotel in Taipei, Taiwan. Happy Independence, St. Kitts Nevis. ZIZ correspondent from Taipei, Taiwan. I am Rolentia Henry.
Two Jamaican companies, Sterling Investments Limited (SIL) and Surrey Paving, have invested in a 226-unit Pelican Bay Limited below Potato Bay in Frigate Bay. Sterling Investments Limited has disclosed it has invested 7.5% of its growing private equity portfolio in a condominium development in St. Kitts that targets subscribers to St. Kitts and Nevis's Citizenship by Investment program. The company has purchased preference shares in Pelican Bay Limited, on which it earns 8% per year. PBL is the main investor in the condominium complex. The Citizenship program requires foreigners to invest capital of $400,000 to qualify. Jamaican construction company Surrey Paving is the contractor on the project as well as an investor in PBL. In regional developments this hour, Jamaican health authorities are denying rumors of a suspected case of the deadly Ebola virus on the island. Acting Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Kevin Harvey, said no suspected case of the disease is being investigated. The rumors started when a doctor who recently returned to the island from Trinidad and Tobago was admitted to the University Hospital of the West Indies, UHWI, with a reported case of bleeding. Dr. Harvey said the 65-year-old senior physician has fully recovered and there is no consideration of a diagnosis of Ebola. At the time that the doctor was admitted to UHWI, an Ebola planning meeting and training for medical officers was underway at the facility, and this, Dr. Harvey surmised, may have led to the rumors. The acting permanent secretary is reminding Jamaicans to avoid non-essential travel to countries where the virus has been confirmed. The Royal St. Lucia Police Force and the Forensic Lab are collaborating with the Ministry of Health in building health workers' capacity to respond to cases of sexual assault. The first in a series of training modules for doctors and nurses got underway last week. We hear more in this report.
Officials say it is important that victims of abuse are afforded the best care possible, using evidence-based research and securing a chain of custody of evidence for prosecution. A workshop for doctors and nurses was held this week in a bid to equip the healthcare providers with the knowledge and skills that are necessary for the management of victims of sexual abuse. District Medical Officer for District 3, Dr. Aaron Ajuda, says this type of instruction is necessary as it sets standards for the provision of both healthcare and forensic services to victims of sexual abuse.
From my experience, it is not strange to have cases of persons who have been sexually abused. And when we say sexual abuse, we're talking about carnal knowledge. We're speaking about persons who find themselves involved in any sexual activity, they're forced to do it, or there is no consent. There is a procedure when a patient comes in, and we have to be able to know, what is the next step that we take. Whether we call the police, inform the police comes in, and then, there comes the examination. How the examination is done, what it entails, and all these details, which are very important, because then we will have to give evidence in court.
Scenes of Crime Officer Corporal Bastian says health workers are essential in collecting and documenting the evidence needed for confirming the circumstances of an assault. Such evidence is often crucial to the prosecution of cases of sexual violence.
We're trying to bring them up to speed as to how best to collect, how best to treat persons who have gone through this trauma, and most importantly, the collection of forensic evidence, so that we could...
And that's it for ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Do join us at 6:30 and 7 p.m.
Once the basket starts moving, gravity pulls it halfway across the river. Then older children have to push and pull the basket, balancing themselves precariously on the rope.
It is much safer when this basket is here for the children, but half the time the basket is on the other side and children have to use a hook to go across the river, and many children fall into the water or trap their hands.
Sadiksha's neighbor, 15-year-old Rabindra Nepal, is often given the task of bringing the basket back.
The rope got tangled and I ended up in the water. I was really scared. I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm scared to go to school.
That was 2 years ago. Many people have lost their fingers, and several children have been injured trying to cross this river. The local government says it doesn't have enough money to build a proper bridge.
The demand is 50 numbers of bridges. Right now, we have 10 million rupees. So from that 10 million, hardly we can complete 5 or 6 bridges.
In the nearby village of Galchok, a suspension bridge was finally installed last year, but only after the old twin snapped, killing 5 people. 13-year-old Suraj Thapa managed to survive.
I still dream of people screaming, asking for help. At times I dream of people crying. Now I'm afraid to cross rivers. We have to cross the Sawani River to go to school every day. There isn't even a twin there. A student got swept away recently. I'm scared.
The government has allocated 15